Welcome everyone to Session Spotlight. We're so excited that you're joining us. Today we've got Beth Ross Johnson and Susan Lazear. Convergence is coming up. It's this summer. So if you're looking to choose a class, this is a great opportunity to look at these classes, listen to the speakers about what they're going to be teaching, what's involved, and I'm glad you're joining us today. Convergence is July 11th through the 17th. It's in Wichita, Kansas. We're going to have a variety of seminars, workshops, fashion shows, and especially the fashion show. The runway fashion show is a thing to behold. You will love it. Tours, keynotes, and much, much more. So first up, we have Beth Ross Johnson. Beth is teaching Shifting Ikat Off the Silk Road, 90-minute seminar, and it's Sunday afternoon, July the 14th. Hey, Beth.
Hey, just say, yeah, it's telling me that my video has stopped. So I don't know if you have to give me permission to turn it on or what.
You should be able to just hit that little icon that looks like a camera, and that should turn your video on.
And it says unable to start video. You can't start your video because the host has stopped it.
Let me see if there's something I can do here. I don't know why it's doing that. Give me just a moment. I apologize.
Yeah.
But you can go ahead and pull up your shared screen.
Oh, okay.
While we're waiting, can you tell us a little bit about the class before you start with your slide?
Yeah, that's what I thought I would do. So I'll just get up to the okay, do y'all see my shared screen?
It's
okay,
there.
Good. Okay, good. And it's okay. Now it wants my video. There I am. And my there. Okay, just one of those Zoom things. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I appreciate the chance to push my class, but also to check out some of the other workshops that I see I need to go ahead and get signed up for. That'll be going on next summer. I've been working in Ikat since the 70s. I got interested in Japanese Ikat, and just kind of like most Ikat weavers, I'm interested in it all. But the presentation I'm doing for Convergence is going to be Ikat that didn't happen in those places where we normally think of Ikat. You know, we kind of associate Ikat with the cultures that were along the Silk routes connecting Europe and Asia, you know, from Central Asia into Eastern Asia and then Southeastern Asia into Indonesia and stuff like that. But some kind of interesting things happen when these beautiful fabrics get traded to areas that didn't have a native Ikat tradition, and I'll talk about why that didn't happen in certain places. I have some theories. But what happens when these weavers see these fabrics and they want to try to weave them, and but they don't know how, and they invent new things. So I'll be talking about Japan, which has some really unique approaches to making Ikat. The egosuri is kind of the most spectacular and maybe the most famous, and is done nowhere else in the world. Used to make pictures and stuff like that, but also, you know, more simple version where the warp or weft, I should say, is shifted as it's put on the loom. So these designs are made by manipulating the Ikat sections as it goes on the loom or as it's being woven. And you're going to have a nice workshop with Mary Zukafos in Warp Ikat. I'll plug her too. So Japan has a lot of those traditions going on of shifting these Ikat sections. In Europe, Ikat kind of became a big thing when the Siamese ambassadors came to the court of Louis XIV in the late 17th century and brought lots of silver and gold and textiles. I love this picture because it looks like he's checking his cell phone. He's got that same posture there, but he's wearing some Ikat. And the weavers then, they were getting silk in, so they were trying to make Ikat too in France, you know, and doing some painted warps, doing this style called Chaîné à la branche. And then there's some more, you know, bourgeois versions of it, you know, that I really warm up to using this, you know, indigo dyed cotton and linen. We'll talk about that. Ikat, I'll have some more slides from Scandinavia. Italy is another place where they were started to do Ikat at this time. And then finally, Mallorca. Mallorca is an island off the coast of Spain. And they started doing Ikat there in about the 18th century. And it's still a very vibrant Ikat tradition there today. I hope to be going there again in May to a textile conference, and we'll have even more information, I hope. And, you know, we'll share that with all of y'all. So I'm not really going to do a hands-on thing because it's hard to do in 90 minutes with Ikat. But I'm going to share with you some of my explorations and trying to reproduce some of these fabrics. And hope that will give you some ideas about things you can try, or things, you know, I think weavers just sometimes just need to appreciate things. So learn how they were made, and I hope that will work for you guys. And then I'll share with some of the things I seem to like. This is a tied on warp Ikat, but I seem to kind of gravitate to weft Ikat a lot, shifted weft Ikat, and so I'll talk about you know, some of my explorations in that. So I talked really, really fast. I hope I've given you enough information. Let me see if there's anything else I was going to put in here that I forgot to say. But I'll just talk about some of the ways that people invented Ikat or Ikat looks to start, you know, and working them with their own traditions to make new fabrics. So we'll be staying away from those sumptuous Ikats from Central Asia, you know, but going into some of the more geometric designs that were done in Europe and stuff. So do y'all have any questions? I've got tons of slides. When I was getting this together, I had like, I said, oh, I'm going to show that slide and that. I had about 30 slides to show y'all this today, but I'll have lots of
great.
stuff.
I mean, everybody,
and some samples too. Yeah.
everybody wants to do Ikat, and I think it's such a great way to start that process is to look at the history of it and also the capabilities. Now, given we're not going to be doing the level that you're showing when you first start doing Ikat, but just to see the capabilities is really exciting.
Mm-hmm. And some of them, some of the Ikat is really very simple, you know. Some of the established ways of making Ikat are you know, very simple, you know, compared to, and especially compared to some of the Central Asian ones. So they're attainable.
Well, I encourage people who are just getting started, or you know, you've started to dabble in this and you really want to see more about the history of it. I think it'll make you understand what Ikat can and cannot do. Great class. Again, I'm always pointing this out. If you're flying in, you don't want to have to carry stuff. Great class for that. There is a slight materials fee. Will there be a handout?
Yes, I can't remember what I charged, but I do have a handout with some sources and things like that. So
wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you, Beth. This looks great. Shifting Ikat off the Silk Road. It's a 90-minute seminar and it's Sunday afternoon, July the 14th.
And if I could just say real quick, I propose this because I think a lot of, not just for beginning weavers, but I think a lot of times people who have been weaving a long time want to go into some depth on some history and maybe about something that's not as well known. So this, even people I know who collect Ikat sometimes didn't know they wove it in France. So I hope it'll be interesting for a lot of people.
Oh, I can't imagine it not. Anybody who appreciates history will love this.
Thanks.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Susan Lazear, Color as a Communicator in Textiles. This is a 90-minute seminar. It will be Thursday morning, July the 11th. Hey, Susan.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and just please confirm, where did it go? That it looks good to you?
Looks great.
Okay. All right. So this lecture I originally prepared for the Mingay Museum in San Diego. And they have like a coffee and lecture series that's run through their library. And it was pretty exciting because it filled almost immediately. So they asked me to do it a second time. So I had a lot of fun building it, and I've just pulled some slides from it. So I'll explain the gist of what I'm planning to cover in it. To some degree, I will talk about the psychology of color and symbolism. And the fun thing is color and its use varies from country to country. So what you wear for certain occasions in one country, you would never wear in another country. So it helps if you're traveling to have a sense of the color norms of a given culture. And I travel a lot. I love travel. So some of the images in this lecture are from my travels. I'll also talk in depth about what influences color choices, whether it's religion, superstitions, maybe gender, or the location in the region, and provide samples or examples of that. And then also why colors and textiles vary around the world. So, these are just a few reasons here, which I'll elaborate on. And then I go through each color of the main colors, even though a lot of people would argue that black and white aren't colors. And one by one, I go through the colors. I share some idioms of how that color is used and expressions in speech, what some general associations are for that given color. Often, sometimes what the color was originally, how they produced the color. And then I often will share photos. As I said, this is a little Berber girl in the center that I met in Morocco, and we camped. I was on a tour, and part of the tour was camping overnight for a couple nights in the Sahara Desert, which we did in January. So it was kind of cool. But this little girl came early in the morning and laid out her wares over the sand dunes, and she would just be there at sunrise. So there on the outside, you get to see who I presume is her mother. And then lastly, I go into global textiles. I collect textiles, particularly global textiles. And so I'll talk about the significance of color in kente cloth as one example. Each color has significance. How color is used in Guatemala for their work, and also the Dutch wax prints as examples. And Adinkra cloth from Ghana in West Africa. Sometimes I'll share how I've translated the color into my own work. So this is a textile print that I created in the mode of Adinkra and created a garment from that. This is indigo, which is global, but this was a man I met in Japan who conducts indigo workshops. I believe he has since moved to New Zealand. But anyhow, and then this is another shot from an indigo workshop that I took in Japan from a master weaver or dyer, I should say there. The indigo pots are in the ground, so that was really fun. And then also indigo and its use in the patchwork that we have become quite familiar with from Japan, which has become mainstream. And this is mud cloth from Africa. And again, color plays significance, and the colors that are chosen are important. This is from New Zealand, the Maori art, and they also use 2 or 3, 4 different colors consistently, and they each have meaning. And that's the gist of it. So that's just an overview of to what I'll cover. It'll, and I will try to bring textile samples. If not, I'll have slides of them. just so you can see. But it's really fun if I can bring an actual sample. It's just the weight in the suitcase that becomes the challenge. So are there any questions?
I think so, Susan. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Now, is there a handout for this class?
Boy, I'm trying to remember. I usually do have handouts with resources. So
I
yeah,
know you do. You have great resources.
yeah.
So again, this is a good class for someone who's beginner, getting started, wanting to understand more about what's involved in all of the fibers around the world. This just sounds wonderful. Thank you so much, Susan. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's Color as a Communicator in Textiles, a 90-minute seminar. It's Thursday morning, July the 11th. I'm sorry to say we missed two of our folks today. There were some problems there, and we hope we can get them rescheduled for another time. We were supposed to have David Hustis and Ben Jones, and we will try to get those scheduled at a later date. Again, it's 150 sessions, seminars, workshops, everything from 90-minute. You saw some great ones today. 3-hour also, 1, 2, and 3-day workshops. Don't forget, if you're going to be taking classes, you want to get that 25% discount that you get with this Convergence value package. And you want to buy that first before you buy your classes, so you'll get that discount. Also, you have to have a membership to take a class. Thank you so much for watching today. Registration's open. You can start signing up for those classes. And you can always add, if you feel like you see something today that you've already registered, but you're not sure, you can go ahead and add another class. That's easy to do. You can go to weavespindye.org and learn more about the sessions. Thank you so much. We'll see you in July 11th through the 17th in Wichita, Kansas. See you next week. We've got more folks next week.